Okay, we're live. Hello, welcome to the Cinema Savvy Movie Podcast. I'm Chris Garner, joined with my co-host Tate Niawa, and we are back with another Game of Thrones discussion series. Unfortunately, George can't make it to this one today, so we're going to have to man the fort on this one. He's packing because he is going to Monaco in a few days, so he couldn't jump on for this. And he hasn't given me any either, so we'll have to start the next episode with his thoughts on this one because a lot happened in this episode.
We do have one comment from George. I believe he said, yeah. He actually said it to you earlier, didn't he? I'm just trying to find it now. You said something about, like, how you thought about this episode.
Yeah, I said that I think this is probably my favourite episode of the series so far, and he says, I wouldn't go that far, but it was still very good. And that's pretty much all I know.
There we go.
So this is on Season 6, Episode 6, Blood of My Blood. As always, this is a hugely spoiler-filled review. We go through the entire episode, every character, every storyline, speculation left, right, and centre. So if you haven't seen the episode, don't watch this unless you don't care about spoilers. Go and watch the episode because it's a fantastic episode. Come back to this.
And also watch our previous episodes because we make so many predictions throughout all of these episodes. And most of the time,
coming true.
Most of the time, I get them all right.
Yes.
So, we'll see how I did in this episode, and we will start Beyond the Wall as we ended the last episode. Spoiler alert here, where our favourite one-verb speaking or one... Yeah, is it verb? Yeah, it's a doing word. Hold the door.
I guess it is now. Originally it was a noun.
So,
for those people watching, we talk the whole episode. We go through every character and we work our way from the northernmost point of the map to the southernmost point. So, as you said, we start Beyond the Wall. Tate, this was major. I love major. For one thing, bringing characters back we haven't seen in ages, answering unanswered questions. And this was the biggie. I think we predicted it for a long time, even book readers.
I predicted it from episode 1. I said from episode 1. And in fact, we had a comment in the last video.
We've got to shout you out.
A certain LaDonna Louise, who is one of our subscribers. Straight up, Benjen is not cold hands. It's in the manuscript of Martin when he asked by his editor. Having said that, he is super important. I think cold hands was the Night King embracing Bran. You monster, Brandon Stark. Take that in two ways. But Benjen is coming back. Also, I love your videos.
Thank you very much for the comment.
I give a comment at the end. But yeah.
To LaDonna's defense, the books are going in a completely different path.
Yeah.
Cold hands in this episode, if it is indeed cold hands, it might not be.
It is cold hands because the Game of Thrones inside the episode, they said the words Benjen Cold Hands Stark.
Oh, did they?
They said, so now we're reintroducing Benjen as Cold Hands, two characters who are separate in the books, but are now the same person in the show.
Yeah. Now, Cold Hands in the book is a character that crops up, I believe, in book 2, Clash of Kings, really, really on in Bran's journey. And he is pretty much nothing like how he is in this episode. He rides an elk for one, which I was really, really hoping for. Sadly, they pissed the budget away, all on dragons, which we'll get onto much later, but that was awesome.
Yeah.
And he does look more like a White Walker. Not quite a White Walker, but very, very similar to that, and he's very much kept in shadow.
He looks very pale, and he's got the scars across his forehead.
Yeah. And this was like the first episode we'd ever seen him. So it was kind of new character shows up and the reveal shows up as well. So there's no big revelation like it might be in the book. But to LaDonna's defense, as I said, the books are going in a completely different direction. So there is all the possibility that George R. R. Martin is telling the truth, that Cold Hands won't be Benjen Stark, and he's got something else planned for Benjen Stark down the line. So we don't know.
At this stage, the books and the TV shows are two completely different entities.
Yeah.
I've got here...
In some respects.
Just, no, quickly. This and this are two completely different things. And we all need to make sure that...
Because that's season 5 and that... If you'd have held up season 2 with Clash of Kings, that would be a better comparison.
They are still not the same thing.
Yeah.
They were just the two things I had on hand.
Yeah, I get. Well, you have everything else on hand, especially.
I know.
bloody rises, don't you? But yes, so we need to talk some cold hands. So I was geeking out, and I love season 6, apart from the Dornish stuff, which I will never ever forgive them for. But everything else, this has probably been the series since probably season 1 where I've geeked out the most. Season 1 was probably the closest to the book.
My favorite series so far has bin series 4. This is contending it. If they have Clegane Bowl, we kind of know what the names of the episodes are until the end now because they were leaked in German.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard. This is the first time.
You haven't heard this. So next episode is going to be The Broken Man, where fingers crossed we see the Hound. Jesus Christ, we all want to see the Hound.
Yes.
Episode 8 is going to be called No One.
Okay.
Episode 9 is rumored to be called The Battle of the Bastards.
Oh, they do. Oh, that's episode. Oh God, episode 9. Please tell me. Please tell me.
That's what they're calling it, Battle of the Bastards, which is
that's episode 8, right? Oh no, that
episode 9 is Battle of the Bastards. Episode 10, The Winds of Winter.
Oh, this is good stuff. Oh God. Okay.
I don't agree with episode 9 title because they could have called it Winterfell or they could have called it something else.
Well, again, this is just a translation, right? So they might rephrase it slightly.
King of the North would be a cool name.
That would be a great name, especially going into the next title as well for episode 10. Yeah. But I keep saying this for series 6. I mean, every episode comes out and they do so much more interesting character stuff this series. They are sticking. Are they sticking more to the book? No, because they've gone past the book. But
no,
they
they're really not.
Yeah. Back that they haven't done. Like, for example, Cold Hands for one. We're getting to the River Run stuff with the Blackfish, which we'll talk about later, and the Greyjoy stuff. So they are taking storylines more from the earlier books and putting it into this one. So I think in that respect is why I'm liking it more. But it just feels so much more concise. Like they are stripping it down to the bare bones with the characters, and it's just moving at such a decent pace. Stuff happening every episode, and this is everything that we didn't get in series 5 because that was very plodding and dragged on a bit. But no, the Cold Hands reveal, I knew he was coming back because you told me. I can't remember how many weeks ago it was. It may have been in the first episode or a few weeks ago. I didn't expect him to come into it this quickly. I was expecting like a kind of final episode reveal of him, perhaps. They don't really do a good job of disguising him, unfortunately, and this is kind of the whole Barristan Selmy thing as well. Like when he showed up again and joined Daenerys for a while, in the book he's kind of part of her company for a while, and then he like takes the robot and reveals himself to be Barristan Selmy. And with the show, you can't really do that because you're using the same actor, it's the same voice, so it's very difficult to master character. Same kind of thing with this. Like even from here upwards, you can tell it's that actor. He's got a very distinctive face and the voice. The classic like northern accent, like it's Benjen Stark. But when he shows up, man, with that you talked about that as well with the flaming hail. Oh my God, that was so amazing to watch. He's just wasting White Walkers left, right, and center. Others. What are they called? Whites.
Whites. Yeah.
And he's just so cool. I would have liked him to have looked a little bit more like the character, but no, they explain what happens to him. It was fascinating to hear. Like I was edging my seat, like, oh, what's Benjen Stark been up to?
This might be something.
Yeah.
We know that. Oh, wait a second, am I going? You got that?
No, you're cool over here.
Okay. So we know that Benjen was able to survive through being stabbed through the heart with dragonglass. Now, Bran has the mark on his hand. Does that mean that he has to be stabbed with dragonglass to stop them?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, really. I don't know. I guess I'm still really confused by the fact that what's keeping them alive is also the thing that can kill them. I'm really confused.
Well, the only thing that can break dragonglass is dragonglass itself.
Yeah. That's
how I see it. They have a part of them which is dragonglass, therefore the only way to break through it is either through Valyrian steel, which is used to cut dragonglass, or dragonglass. That's the only way that can break through kind of the skin and stuff like that.
So I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. I know he says that he went out on a ranging party, and then I think he was stabbed, wasn't he, by a White Walker or something?
He was stabbed by a White Walker and left for dead.
And the children of the forest rescued him and
by stabbing him through the heart with dragonglass.
Basically gave him like a Tony Stark thing where this is the only thing that's stopping him from turning. Yeah. But no, it was great seeing him back, and I don't know if he's in the next episode. I did see the next, the 30-second clip they release of what's.
No, I have a feeling that we won't see Bran possibly until episode 10, Winds of Winter, where they'll go south of the wall, they'll get to Winterfell, and he'll dig back into the roots of the weirwood tree in Winterfell.
But no, and we talk about this every other episode as well, that with characters and plot points and themes and stuff like that, they are bringing it almost full circle back to Series 1. And Series 1 was the last time we saw Benjen Stark around Winterfell, so everything's coming to a head already, and I love that. I think that was pretty much it for Bran and Beyond the Wall, wasn't it?
Actually, no. We've got Bran's visions, because this was a huge part. We saw the Mad King. Yes. We saw Jaime sitting on the throne. We saw, I can't tell whether it's King's Landing or Valyria, but with a dragon shadow going over it. That could be the Doom of Valyria. That could be... There's a couple of things shadowing the Doom of Valyria throughout this entire series,
or
and including the last series.
It could even be a flash forward.
It could be a flash forward to King's Landing and stuff like that. But a lot of people online are talking about the Faceless Men being the cause of the Doom of Valyria, by killing the Masters and therefore sending things into chaos in Valyria, because they came from there originally. So a lot of foreshadowing there. That I don't know what else was in those visions. I know that he saw Ned being executed. I think he may have seen the Red Wedding.
It was kind of just, he was like catching himself up with everything that we've seen so far.
He was basically binge watching series 1 to 5 of Game of Thrones.
I didn't really pay attention to all that Valyria stuff in there with the dragon. I just remember seeing the scene.
I'm not sure. No, the thing is, I'm not sure whether it is Valyria or not. I'm saying it might be Valyria because we know that Valyria was burnt down. We also know that things have been hinted at Valyria in the previous series.
Yeah.
And if at one point Bran does have to go to Valyria to get like I don't know, maybe a remainder steel sword or something like that buried in the ruins, or like some dragon glass which is there or anything like that, then
that's going to be badass if he does put on more of a fight. But the flashback scene, I remember seeing the Mad King scene, and that is one of my favorite moments because Jaime Lannister is one of my favorite characters in all the book. His redemption in the book is fantastic. Like, ultimately, he still did push a kid out of a window, crippling him. But how his character evolves, and they've done a great job of that in the show as well. I mean, everything from the book is pretty much how they've handled his character, really, and he plays it so well as well, Nicola Costa-Waldau. So seeing that flashback with that moment he's referred to loads with the Mad King, and we only see him shout burn them all, and we see like a couple of the maesters like pouring big vats of...
Another thing that people are saying online, this is a very kind of tinfoil hat theory, the burn them all may be coming from Bran altering the past. So Bran going into his head and telling him the White Walkers are coming, you need to burn everything.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
He's the one who sends the Mad King mad. That's one of the theories out there at the moment.
That's amazing. That'd actually be... I really like that idea. But it does also like kind of link it to the fact that Bran just causes everything and fucks up absolutely everything. So I'm not sure if he's a hero or just like the harbinger of doom, really. But that would be really cool.
Now from this point on, he is now the Three-Eyed Raven. And in fact, Benjen actually referred to him as the Three-Eyed Raven instead of it being the previous one.
Could we infer that the Three-Eyed Raven, if we are going with this theory, which may not be true, because I also like the thing where Targaryens with the inbreeding thing, like it is like, I think they say like a flip of a coin, whether they're going to be mad or whether they're going to be relatively normal. So I kind of like that idea. But also if it is the Bran thing, do we think then the title of the Three-Eyed Raven can have this influence, and maybe throughout all the centuries before, he has almost like balanced everything out? George, hey!
Hold the stream.
We're relatively like fairly early into it. We're still talking about like Benjen Stark and like the Bran stuff. So if you want to jump in with that.
It was really obvious it was Benjen Stark from the second this geezer started killing White Walkers. And it was only a matter of time before it was revealed to be Benjen, but it's kind of cool. I'm intrigued by seeing what they're doing with him. He looked pretty badass as well on that horse. And he's technically a White Walker now.
Yeah, he kind of almost is, yeah. And also, Tate just brought up this really neat theory, which I never even thought of, that, well, actually, Tate, you can explain to George if you want, because...
So basically, there's a theory floating around online at the moment, just in general, that Bran is the voice inside of the Mad King's head, telling him to burn it all, as in the White Walkers.
You told me this last week, and
Yeah.
I am 300% behind you now, especially as the Mad King is in a promo for next week, and we saw him in this episode.
Is he in the promo for next week? I missed that part.
Yeah. I'm sure I saw that same instead of him.
Actually, no, I don't think he's in the premiere for next week, but I think he probably will show up somewhere before the end of the series.
But I know, like, a lot of the season execs have talked about, like, once Game of Thrones is finished, there's talk of, like, they either want to do, like, a Jon Snow spin-off, which I really hope they don't do.
No, there was two different options which George R.R. Martin wanted to do. He wanted to do the battle before the Robert's Rebellion, or he wanted to do Dunk and Egg.
Yeah, well, I'd be for both
really
of them.
Dunk and Egg.
When we see like flashbacks to this stuff, I really want to see more of this stuff. So I would be completely fine with the prequel series, although we ultimately know how it all pans out. But I do hope we get more of the flashbacks. Like, this is great what we're seeing, like the little flashes of stuff, but I would like a whole scene, kind of like how they did with the young Ned Stark stuff, to just go back to that Mad King stuff and see the moment where Jaime Lannister stabs the Mad King in the back. That would be pretty cool if they get to that.
Very young Jaime Lannister.
Okay, so... Oh, go on. Okay, so quick prediction. Do you think anything big will happen beyond the wall before the end of the series, or do you think everything from now on is going to take place south of the wall? As in, Brandon...
I think we'll still get more stuff.
Yeah.
I think we'll definitely get...
We'll go south of the wall.
If it's setting up for final season, and I mean, this series has done a great job of sort of like bringing the White Walkers back and showing just how much of a threat they are. I don't think we're going to get another big... like White Walker attack. They've kind of already done that, and then if they do any more, it would just be repeating itself.
If the final episode is called The Winds of Winter, then the wall is coming down. That is how the series will end.
I think the wall's coming down, and I think the final shot will just be them kind of mirroring the final shot of Series 2, where you get like the big bird's eye view shot of the army sort of on the march now to King's Landing, and then we'll get there eventually, which will set up for the final season. So I think we're probably going to get that. We'll get a bit more Bran stuff as well, kind of setting up for where he's heading to, and because he's got to get into a dragon somehow, so we know that he might be heading down towards King's Landing if Daenerys does bring the attack there. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. I'm kind of all over the place with it. Don't exactly know where it's going, but I do think we are going to get more with the White Walkers and stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be White Walkers, so I'm intrigued for that.
Okay, so now we're going to head slightly more south. Well, no, we're going to go a bit more, actually. We're going to go further this time. We're going straight to the Riverlands. We're skipping all of the Winterfell stuff. And in the Riverlands, we finally get to meet the Tarleys.
Yeah, this was great. I mean, Randall's family... Go on, sorry.
Wait a sec. Sam's family is split into two completely different halves. There's the half which is exactly like Sam.
Yeah.
And there is the half which is batshit insane like Tywin.
Yeah. I thought it was great. It was very... What's the word? I think Tywin is the right word for it. He's
family man. Family man. He's the
controlling.
Yeah.
Very controlling.
I thought that was a really well written scene, you know, across the whole sort of divide of the family, and you know, this sword has slayed all kind and all that stuff. I thought it was really well written scene because they spoke so much about his dad. Yeah, there was a reputation. They were past that. I thought he can't be as bad as, you know, what they say, and he was a savage. Glorious savage at that.
Yeah, I mean, same here, and this is another reason why I like this series so much, is that the pace of these episodes has been really good. I think this scene was probably had to be like a 15-minute scene, easily. It went on for quite a while, but it was really interesting stuff. They are really taking the time, devoting the time to each character per episode, to the point where you might only get like 4 narrative breaks between the people. I will say, though, that ultimately, we got the scene previously with Sam on the boat where he was saying that he was going to drop Gilly off there, and then he was going to carry on and continue his studies to become a maester. And I think in that review we did, I questioned why, because he knows how much of a dick his dad is, and that she probably wouldn't be safe there, and her identity would ultimately get compromised while she was there. Why not just take her in the first place and just go straight to the place to the Citadel where he's going to learn to become a Maester, and just bring her along with him? And they kind of do that in this episode. Like, they turn up there, you get all the great stuff with the family, and then they get that emotional moment where you think he's going to leave her there and go, and then he walks back in and goes, no, yeah, come with me, we're going to head to the Citadel. Yeah. I'm like, well, why didn't they do that in the first place? So I do think that it was ultimately pointless, but then on the flip side, it was bigged up for a while, like Randall Tarly, and we knew we were going to see him at some point when it was cast and everything like that. So it was great to see. They handled it really, really well. Nice character moments and stuff like that.
I am the man who reads a lot of theories and a lot of speculation and looks into why certain things happen in Game of Thrones. Nothing happens for no reason. There was a reason why Sam did that. Now, they needed this kind of scene to take place to show kind of what Randall Tarly was like. Yeah, that's fine. We've had speculation about it for all this time, hearing that he's kind of this bad, kind of cruel, very good warrior. Now, as a viewer, that's all we know of him from that point, and therefore, when we leave this scene, we also need to expect that his reaction will be calculated. As soon as Sam steals the sword, if he decides to go back up north to Jon, then what will happen is Randall Tarly will have to follow him, but he won't want to let the other houses know that his family's sword, his prize, like his pride as well, is going up north and is being taken away from him. He'll want to keep it quiet. He will go solo with maybe 20 good men, I don't know, but he will try and track Sam down no matter where he takes the sword. If Sam takes it up north and Randall sees the White Walker threat, then Sam has got his family on his own side to kind of the wars to come. If Sam goes south, then maybe it'll draw Randall out from where he is. Maybe it'll give a chance for them to retreat south when the White Walkers finally break the wall, and that's when Randall will realize and go, oh shit, we need to get south. It's just different speculations you can take from that, but him taking Heartsbane wasn't just about Sam taking Heartsbane. It's about what Randall will do to react to that. And I'm pretty sure maybe even scene, maybe it's just going to be him chasing him, but something will happen with Randall Tarly before the end of the season.
Yeah, he's definitely going to come back, and I believe in the book, it's been a while since I've read them, I think that Sam ultimately ends up in Brava, so there might be a chance that he crosses paths with Arya, but she might be in disguise. That would be pretty cool if they do get to that, but one of the things with Randall Tarly is when I heard that he'd been cast and I saw the actor, it's that classic thing where you read the book before you see the film or the TV show, whatever it is, where it's not, they don't look how you imagine them, and in the book I imagined him a much more broader, general, not fat, but really imposing guy. Yeah. And when I saw this guy, he did look very sort of old and a little bit weedy, but when you saw him in this, the actor of this is fantastic. I don't think they could have picked a better actor. He completely summed up everything with that character. As George said, they built him up before. They talked about him all the time. I think they talked about him in Series 1, was where he gave that big monologue at the wall when Sam talked about his family and stuff. But no, it was great. I mean, I love the look of the place. Seeing Heartsbane was fantastic. We got that little bit of lore. I love when they inject that stuff in from the books. And no, it was just great. Everything, Gilly, she had more to do this episode. She was pretty good as well. And I like that this series really feels like it's fleshing out the world a bit more. Maybe that's the case because it's gone past the books and it's introducing new locations and things like that. But no, I absolutely loved it. One of my favourite scenes, and that ultimately it is a bit pointless, I think. But as you said, it depends where they take it and if Randall does react to it. So no, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
I have to say that this is the first episode where we see Gilly kind of dressed up.
Yeah.
It's the first time we see her in proper clothing. And when Randall does become very aggressive at the table, you can see Gilly's fire. And you can tell that Gilly obviously didn't have good parentage. However, you can see that kind of fire in there for her willing to kind of defend her honor and be proud he is a wildling and be proud of her past.
Yeah, I tell you what this whole scene reminded me of, actually. It reminded me of the dinner scene from Shrek 2, where they go to Fiona's parents and it's
oh
really
God, no.
It reminded me a little bit of that.
No. Oh, stop.
I
Just
thought
stop.
one of the strongest scenes of the season. And that's kind of bizarre, but I was just gripped by it for the first time. But I was watching in the morning for a change, not the usual slot. But nonetheless, I don't know if that helps or not. But no, I want to see more of the dad, and I think we will. I don't know about the Tarly side of it. I know we're past the books, although it is his introduction. I think he'll be sticking around for at least a few more episodes. Or if they go full, full sort of Tywin, then maybe his son will kill him again. This time
we do get reference to that again in this episode with the Arya stuff on stage. I think in the book the first time we see Randall Tarly is I think Brienne crosses paths with him and spends a little bit of time with him at the kind of military camp, if I'm remembering rightly. But no, that was great. So that's why I said. I mean, I kind of always say this, and it's like my immediate reaction when I dropped you a message, Jordan, and said like, "This is my favourite episode of the series so far." And you was like, "It's a good episode. I wouldn't say it's my favourite one." So maybe I need to go back and watch the other ones again. But when I just think about it, every bit of character stuff in this was just so strong. So I think that's why I gravitated towards it more. And then we get another returning character next if we're all done. If we're done talking about the Tarlys.
Yes.
Filch back.
Let us go to the fray.
Yes.
And let us talk about Walder Frey's return as the very kind of stale-faced, brilliantly spoken, always making insults character, especially about his two sons, the two ones who actually murdered both Rob and Caitlin. Those were the two.
And creeping on his teenage wives.
And creeping on his teenage wives with an S at the end as well. I think they brought back in Walder Frey because we all know that he's probably going to die within the next maybe 4 or 5 episodes.
He has to die. I want to say it'll be Jon Snow that kills him, but I think it's actually going to be Sansa. I think she's going to be one that delivers that blow.
I think Sansa will kill 3. I think even it's difficult. I wanted Theon to kill Ramsay because that would have been so satisfying to see. But I feel like it'll be Sansa killing Ramsay and it'll be Sansa killing Walder. Maybe even the Blackfish killing Walder. That would be pretty badass.
That would be cool. That would definitely bring him to the forefront again, give him something to do.
The Hound. Here's what happens. The Hound just walks in and says, "You owe me some fucking chicken." Stabs him, and then turns around and says, "I want all of you to get all the fucking chickens in this room."
He's the Mountain. He just plucks a chicken out of his magic hat. This is a really dumb question, potentially. Have we seen Blackfish before?
Yeah, Series 3.
Series 3.
Series 3. Okay, I need to Google them because I used to kind of watch season recaps, but...
This is what I was going to say, like, with this series, like, bringing, like, when they bring Edmure back, like, that was a big, like, shot. Like, I didn't expect to see him, but I'm here thinking, like, viewers of just, like, the show, they haven't referenced these characters for, like, 3 years now, and then to suddenly bring them back.
I remember him. The guy that did that...
I feel like before...
Yeah, it was
before the next episode... Before the next episode, they will do... Because we know the next episode will be set in the Riverlands for a lot of it. They got Jaime going to the Riverlands. They've got the Brotherhood Without Banners coming back, I think, next episode. They've possibly got the Hound coming back next episode because they got some church people in the Riverlands as well. We got the Blackfish. We got the Freys. It's going to be a very Riverlands-based episode.
Yeah. And I think it was needed, to be honest, because it's a lot of stuff they need to tie up, you know? And that you can't get to like Series 7, watch it all back and go, well, hang on, they didn't pay that storyline off. So.
I thought of this episode as a filler and direction episode. As in, it's starting to build up towards the end of the series. It needs something to kickstart it. This was the kickstart episode. And with that, I think next episode will also be another kickstart episode. It's called The Broken Man.
Yeah.
It's going to be... Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to have the Hound in it. It'll be bringing him back. It's going to have the Blackfish setting up. It's going to have Jaime's storyline. Jaime will run into Brienne. We know from the trailers that we see Bronn getting kind of taking Pod away, so we know that Jaime will meet up with Brienne at some point. We just don't know when. I have a feeling next episode we know that it's going to be Jon up north as well. I'm not sure whether there's going to be anything in King's Landing. However, we know that maybe there might be a little bit more to do in Marine. Next episode will be a filler episode. The episode after that will be the proper ramping it up. I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to Bravos, and I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to King's Landing, but I feel like those two places are going to be huge for episodes 8.
I think it follows the very season 2/3 onwards Game of Thrones sort of narrative where the first few episodes tend to be very strong. Then episode 3 or 4, something very big happens, i.e. the Craster's Keep stuff, or when Daenerys getting all the slaves, all that sort.
So
then you get to a progressing story. Then you get that end run, and I think really getting that this year, whereas last year had its moments, but the majority of the season was it was almost a filler season for
setting up for this one.
Yeah,
except for Hard Home. Home was one of the best episodes of Game of Thrones they've ever done.
And which it was, but in terms of the whole season run, it didn't feel like a Game of Thrones season, if that makes sense. Even season 1.
If you have a look at the rating stats, which you can do for TV series, season 5 goes episode 6 down, slightly back up, and then shoots up, and then heads back down again. It's crazy. It looks like a heartbeat.
But it's intriguing. I think this is certain. I know it's really early into this review, but this is certainly one of the stronger episodes. Well, sorry, strong seasons. But to be fair, we've had 5 very good seasons and 1 filler, which will probably look better when this one's done.
This is what I don't know how many series were originally planned, because I heard rumours there was 10, and I think 8 was the one I heard for the longest point. To me, it seems like when they were doing series 5, they had 8 seasons in mind. And that's why they were dragging it out quite a lot. And now it's like, no, okay, if ratings are dropping or something, cut it down to 7. And that's why they've just it's moving at such a good pace. They've dumped everything back to 6.
I think there are 24 episodes left of this show.
They might do, you know how, I'm not going to go into like a massive Doctor Who spiel, but you know how when it was like David Tennant was almost wrapping up as the Doctor, they did like 3 or 4 episodes throughout the year, like 4
funnily enough, I think that if we're going to shorten the series, what will happen is it'll be 8 episodes, and the final 2 episodes of each series will be an hour and a half long.
Yeah,
they will lengthen the episodes, but they won't lengthen the amount of episodes.
Yeah, Breaking Bad did that. Even an extra half hour could make all the difference.
Yeah.
And
Especially
they did that. Did they do that for Blackwater? Was it? There was one episode where they gave more time.
I'll find out the Blackwater runtime, but I think Blackwater.
Or it may have been the final episode of series 2. I know that it was like an hour and 10 minutes longer or something, so it was like 20 minutes longer.
I thought that was the Jon Snow episode where the Wildlings attacked. That felt like a very long.
Wait a sec, just about to find out. Runtime. Show me the runtime. God damn it. I cannot find the runtime.
While you're looking for that, I will just say, though, the guy who plays Walder Frey, David Bradley, that guy never ages. I swear to God, that guy still looks the same as he did in the first Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, I've met him. Do you want me to fill time telling how?
Yeah, go for it.
His wife, Madame Bradley, was a French teacher in my primary school. And taught at a secondary school, which was basically next door to the primary school. But one day a week she'd come in, and I think this is year 3. For 1 year. And then on one day we found she was Filch's husband, and she actually brought Filch in. And obviously at the time this is Harry Potter Central.
Oh man.
Library, and he just had the Filch voice on to a group of kids, and it was like incredible. Because obviously every time he said like, oh, you are in trouble now, everyone was just like screaming like.
I've seen him in interviews. He seems like an absolutely lovely bloke. Like he's nothing like the characters he plays. Like I think the only time I've seen him play a good guy is in Harry Brown, the movie he did with Michael Caine. And even then, I still don't buy him as like a good guy. Like he's always playing that slimy, like horrible guy in like things I've known. Like even Filch, like he's not an awful guy, but he's not exactly a nice guy.
Yeah. Just got the villainous look.
He has. You found it, Tate, or should we just move on?
No, they were both 50 minutes long each, so no extended running time. But they could.
I could have swore there was one episode they extended just a little bit, but yeah, if we've all talked about the Frey stuff, and we spoke about Edmure, right? Like he's back.
Yeah.
That's a great cameo out of nowhere and bearded.
Yeah, I was just imagining like some viewers that like haven't, because do they do like previously on Game of Thrones and show the clips still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to assume they showed some stuff from the Red Wedding, because if they didn't, then people are going to be confused as hell. Like they'll bring Edmure out and people will be like, "Great, who's that?" I got a kick out of seeing him again, because like in the books as well, he's sort of like had a similar fate. Like he's been imprisoned at the Twins, and we haven't seen him since. So this was cool stuff for me, going ahead of the books and seeing what might eventually happen. If we've talked about all that stuff, then I guess we move to King's Landing, because a lot of big stuff happened at King's Landing.
Okay, let's talk about, first of all, the plan which was meant to be set in play. Now, this comes from two different sides. First of all, Marjorie's plan was, shit, I don't want no do, no walk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to seduce my husband because he is a giant pussy cat. I'm going to get him to join with the faith so that my kind of embarrassment can be spared. I don't have to walk out in public, and it means that basically I'm in control of King's Landing again, because she thinks that she can control the church. She thinks that she can have sway over what is said, because she is, in her own eyes, and possibly in the viewer's eyes, quite innocent to kind of some extent. Now, basically what happened was the Lannisters and Tyrells had another plan. They had the plan of, we're going to go violent. If you send her out into the streets, we'll riot and we'll kill people. And the High Sparrow predicted this. Or maybe he didn't, because one person did comment to say that he did look a little bit shocked. But the High Sparrow at least predicted that Marjorie was going to try and join the faiths, and that would work out in his favour, because then he would have sway over the crown. And we all know that, like, in Game of Thrones, it's been mentioned a couple of times now that the High Sparrow doesn't have any kind of aims or goals. He does. He does have agendas.
Yeah,
and I feel like part of it will be power, and the power that he gains through the church. Now, whether that gets brought out towards the end of the series or not, who knows? But in the end, the High Sparrow basically won by convincing the entire public that they were willing to go violent, and he was kind of the innocent one, and the king was kind of on his side all along, and stuff like that. To be honest, there were a couple of big moments in this scene. First of all, Mace, the Ace,
Tyrell, yeah.
That speech may be one of the greatest TV speeches of all time to rally people up.
Here's the thing, right? I don't know if it was like a really shit speech or a really great speech. I'm really not sure, because it's not like a Lord of the Rings style one, which everyone was like 300, where everyone was cheering. It was just kind of a matter of fact, but it did the job. So I don't know if it was a bad speech.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a pushover of a character, isn't he? So I guess it comes from that. Like, you can't really take him seriously when he's doing all these battle speeches and stuff. But I don't know. I got a kick out of seeing
his feathers.
Yeah, I know. I love that stuff. I got a kick out of seeing like the Tyrell army like in full force. Like, we haven't really seen them clearly. I think we saw them briefly when there was that epic shot from the end of Blackwater where Tywin's leading the charge and leading the cavalry charge. But no, like seeing the foot soldiers and stuff storm up in formation. I kind of wanted more soldiers. There was probably like 100 or 150 of them. But that's probably just a budget thing. But no, I thought it was pretty badass seeing him.
The second badass thing was Jaime riding up those steps on the horse.
I was just going to say
that was so majestic. Yeah. That was majestic as fuck.
Majestic.
The whole thing. The second you saw, whenever like the Tully Senior, that's what I'm calling him, I always forget his name. Whenever he comes on screen, he's just like this absolute tool, and he's just hilarious. Like, unintentionally, he's a funny character.
Yeah.
To push over to his mom, to his children, he just kind of blobs around. You see him on the table, and then it was when they cut to him in complete armor. Like, I just started laughing, because obviously I thought this was sort of Jaime's thing more than his. And then he started giving the speech, and it just felt like something that should have been a Monty Python. like that is where he belongs. And then he actually started reading. He was like, what was it like? Give me back my children, or whatever the hell it was. It was just brilliant to finally see him like do something, and then like Jaime comes out, and the second Jaime's out, then shit got real.
Yeah.
If the High Sparrow just turns around and says, "I will give you back your children if you answer these 3 questions."
But he didn't look and want me by the
But like, even his armor, like what we were just talking about, like that armor is just so him. Like he's all full of like this pomp and bravado, like a British like war general. So just seeing him with, like this big like feather plume on his hat, it was just hilarious. He's amazing. But
man,
I'm glad you did bring up that Jaime thing, because I was going to say like this whole scene had probably, well, now we count in Mace Tyrell thing, I guess 3 of my favourite shots in the episode. There was that. Jaime riding up the stairs was epic, so cool. We get to see like military leader Jaime, like, because as he's been like profound all the way through the seasons. And the other one was the look that the High Sparrow gives Jaime at the very end. Like this guy, this fucking guy. Like in series 5, he was just kind of there, and we knew he was planning something. We didn't really know what. This season, he has just.
He has now got complete control,
and he's got a lot of clap. Like,
I would be.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
It'd be very interesting to see a scene where he was sat on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, I don't think he'd want the throne though, because that's kind of not his image. But he would definitely have a lot of control.
His agenda is power, whether he wants to admit it or not. Now, I know that he usually spends his time around like the Holy Sept and stuff like that, and the Church of the Seven. If he goes out into King's Landing to go and speak to Tommen, and then he goes and sits on the throne when speaking to him, to show that he has complete control over him, and maybe make a speech about how petty it is that there is a throne there whilst he's sat on it. That would be very interesting to see.
Well, I was going to say, because he's kind of demonstrated that the faith are more powerful than the crown. Like, both need it, because we see how much of a religious capital King's Landing is. We saw this in Series 1 with Ned Stark, when they say that he's going to confess to the gods. And the Walk of Atonement of Cersei Lannister, how many people came out in the streets for that, although I guess that was mostly just to see her get a comeuppance. And then in this, when they say like there won't be a Walk of Atonement, like there's almost an uproar from the entire population of King's Landing.
Do you know why? That was because everyone just wanted to see Marjorie naked.
Yeah, well, man, who doesn't, you know? But no, I mean...
But what I was going to say is something interesting here to note. First of all, the armour of the Kingsguard. It's now got the 7-pointed star on it with the crown in the centre. Second thing, for the first time in about 25 or so episodes, we saw the Iron Throne. Now, there is significance to this. Power has now come back to the Iron Throne for the first time in a long time, or at least the Iron Throne is meant to be shown as more powerful now as it has joined with the faith. Now, for a long time it had been admitted because the religion was in the background, it was kind of pulling the strings and stuff like that. Now that they've converged together, whether Cersei likes it, Lannisters like it or not, it shows that there is some power going back to the crown, whether the High Sparrow knows it or not, and that's why the Iron Throne returns.
Now, whether that was intentional by the showrunners and things like that,
yes,
I don't know.
Everything is intentional by the showrunners. Everything. The lack of the Iron Throne for 26 episodes show that there was no power going towards the Iron Throne. Tommen was a weak ruler. Now, we've got Marjorie kind of back as queen. We've got Tommen back in as power. He has Kevin Lannister as his advisor. Not only that, but
Loras is still in prison,
also...
right?
Loras may still be in prison.
Yeah.
However, I feel like that won't be for long. I'd just like to also say that with the High Sparrow now kind of holding the second pillar, the 2 pillars basically now hold up the entire place. Now that High Sparrow is holding one, Tommen and Marjorie are holding the other, there is some power going back to the throne. That's why they showed the throne.
And I think with the High Sparrow as well, like you were talking about earlier, he tried to get onto Marjorie's side, but she's proved more cunning than he has. But we saw all the way through the season as well, like he hasn't put all his eggs in one basket. Like he was also like grooming Tommen to like make an alliance between the two of them. That's ultimately paid off. One
And
scene
he has broken Loras.
He has, yeah.
He's completely broken Loras.
And whether Marjorie's still concerned about Loras and wants to get him out, or if she's just concerned about her own ends now, we don't know. But one scene I want to talk about, and again, this was another scene that mirrored something from Series 1, how Tommen's almost turns into Joffrey, where he sends Jaime away. Very much like Barristan Selmy, where almost the same line of dialogue, I think, even, that Tommen uses that Joffrey did. And
I just want to say that
go
online at the moment, Tommen is more hated than Joffrey, because people would have said Joffrey would have beheaded the High Sparrow as soon as he even stepped into King's Landing, and they like the idea that even though Joffrey was a bit more than a loose cannon, he was a loose army, basically. He was a loose king. Tommen is so soft and so kind of susceptible to all these different things that people absolutely hate him for it. Especially when like he had Marjorie and his mum taken away from in front of him and he still did nothing. People don't like that in a character. People are calling back for Joffrey online, which is scary. I'm cool with Joffrey coming back if Tommen goes out of power, to be honest.
Well, this is like what Pycelle said. I think it was in Series 1 again, where he's talking to Ros, when Ros was like the exposition character. He was saying that Joffrey's stern, but sternness in the face of the crown isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think ultimately what it is one, Tommen is meant to still be very, very young. And also he's kind of got all these people barking different things in his ear of how a king should be. I'm trying to remember all the... what are they, like the aspects of make a good king that Tywin told him. I think there was wisdom, and I can't remember what all the other ones were.
Funny enough, the first answer that Tommen gave was the faith, wasn't it?
Yeah,
religion.
Yeah, and I think like mercy may have been one as well, and wisdom. Now he's really showed too much mercy and a considerable lack of wisdom. And I think this is ultimately what's going to backfire the whole Lannister thing, and it's kind of what Lady Olenna said at the end, and it was great to see her there as well, where she says, "We've lost. That's what's happened. He's just won." So all that stuff was great, and I really want to see that come to more of a head. And also, we keep talking about this every time, they reference the trial by combat again, so that is definitely on the cards for this.
I've just found it online. In episode 3 of Series 4, when Tywin asks Cersei and Tommen in the Sept after Joffrey's death, he asks Tommen what makes a good king. The first thing Tommen says is holiness.
Oh, that's great if they've set up for that already at that point.
I think Jaime Lannister may die this season.
I don't think so.
Wow, what I think. So, I had no idea they were going to swerve in, have him sent away. He's clearly going to be involved now in the Ramsay-Jon Snow storyline. I think because he is responsible. Well, this is where Chris comes in. In the book, at the Red Wedding, didn't they say Jaime Lannister sends his regards?
Yes, I believe they do. Yeah.
In the TV show, obviously, it's just the Lannister send the regards. I think Jaime Lannister, although he's a good guy, he know him better now. Basically, he's less of a villain than he was sort of 3-4 years ago. I think because he made the deal with Roose Bolton as well, does he not? In the courtyard, he struck that deal. I think.
I don't think he. I think that was more Tywin that struck the deal.
But I think that something will happen in the battle, and I think that he will die.
I've thought that Jaime's going to die for a long time now. In regarding like the River Run stuff, it's similar to the book, but they've kind of like characters are where they shouldn't be, and situations are different. In the book, instead of this should have happened like last season. Instead of Cersei sending him to Dorne, that stuff doesn't happen in the book. She sends him to River Run to sort everything out. I think the Blackfish is like barricading himself in River Run, and the Lannisters are trying to get him out, either to do a truce or something like that. It's been a while since I read the book, and they say that the Blackfish like dove off the castle into the moat and has like gone away, so they can't get to him. round about this time, Cersei's still imprisoned, and they're doing the whole trial by combat thing. And she writes to Jaime for him to come back to King's Landing and come to her aid because he's like the greatest fighter ever, and she loves him. But he's learned at this point that she's been sleeping around with nearly everyone in the kingdom for her own ends. So he takes the letter, takes one look at it, screws it up, and throws it in the fire. But meanwhile, they kind of do this thing where, you know about Lady Stoneheart, right, George?
Yeah.
She gets a hold of Brienne and says that you swore to me that you wouldn't side with the Kingslayer and all this, that you've got, and she's got her like strung around the neck, ready to hang her, and she says like, you've got to go and kill the Kingslayer, otherwise I'm going to kill you now. And that's kind of where they leave off Brienne. So it's a really like horrible, emotional moment in the book because Brienne's built up this friendship with Jaime throughout the book. You don't want to see him die. And ultimately, I think it's setting up in the next book where them two are going to come to a head. Again,
The
this
problem
series
is we might not be getting Lady Stoneheart back.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I don't think they're going to bring it back. Not at this stage.
We won't get Lady Stoneheart, but we might. That role could be occupied by a certain Sansa Stark who is growing the balls to be able to send commands out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
'Cause
she is kind of with Brienne as well, so the two characters are kind of together.
So,
I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel like because of what's just happened, Jaime in the Riverlands with the Lannister troops, he will understand what's happened up north with the kind of what the Boltons have done and kind of taken over the north and denounced the king and stuff like that, made friends with the Vale, blah blah blah, blah, taken in Sansa and everything like that. He will side with Brienne. He won't care who that's sided with. I think that now that he has been almost discontinued from the Lannister family, I think he's going to go rogue. I don't think that's going to get him killed this series. It'll get him killed next series. But I think he might actually side with the people up north.
Now he's been banished by Tom, and I think the chances of that are more likely.
I think what's going to happen is, I think he is going to go to the Blackfish. He is going to reason with him. At the same time, Brienne will say, we need help up north. He will understand what the situation is. He will help out Brienne on Brienne's behalf, keeping his oath to her, and her keeping her oath to him. They will go up north, and Sansa will either choose to execute him or kind of banish him again from like their service and stuff like that. Or maybe she'll keep him on. Who knows? But I feel like Jaime might actually go up north and possibly help out with the Battle of the Bastards.
Well, I was going to say, if he's sort of like around the area with the Battle of the Bastards, is this going to be like the Five Armies now? Because we're going to have like the Wildings with Jon Snow. They're getting.
Funnily enough, wait. One of the editor's notes, the original name for the episode was going to be Five Armies or Five Battle of the Five.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that.
However, we've got the German translation, which was the Battle of the Bastards. I'm not sure whether it's going to be called Bastard, or whether it's going to be called Winterfell, or whether it's going to be called something different. All we know is that is what the episode's going to be based around. And if Jaime's in that area, he will want to get in on that fight, especially if Bronn's there as well. I mean, come on, it's Bronn. Of course, it's going to happen. Hopefully, it's going to happen anyway. Okay, so let's move.
Yeah.
I think we need to move on to a warmer place. Let's
Yeah.
go Bravos. And let's go to the play part 2, which is basically seeing Joffrey's death. And this is kind of almost a redemption moment for Arya. I mean, she never got to see Joffrey die. However, she's the only one in the crowd laughing. It's pretty obvious that like the Braavosi are at that time, even though they're the Free City, they follow the ideas of the Crown. These are the stories that have been passed on to them. In this part of the play, she goes backstage. She's meant to poison Lady Crane. However, she actually starts talking to Lady Crane, and she realizes that she is Lady Crane. Lady Crane's story is exactly the same as Arya's. And everything that is said within those conversations between the two reflects each other, and it is a complete and utter test to who Arya is, whether she wants to be no one, or whether she wants to be Arya Stark of Winterfell. And in the end, as we go on to explain, she chooses to be Arya Stark once again, which I'm pretty sure that everyone is happy about.
Yeah.
And I think
I think she'll still get the powers, though.
yeah,
Oh, hell yeah.
I think this is jumping ahead on the wagon slightly towards the end of the play, but she's going to kill that girl, and then the faceless one, whatever you want to call him, is the guy that, the main guy. I think.
Jaqen H'ghar.
Yeah, I think it's almost part of her initiation that you have to kill. Not necessarily the rule of two such as the Sith, but I think she has to die for Arya to take the role.
Okay, so
that has it coming as well. Let's be honest. I can't wait to see Arya.
So, a face will be added to the hall. It is known, whatever he said. He said, one way or another, a face will be added to the hall. People think, oh, that's Arya or the actress. No, that is Arya, the actress or the waif. Now, I feel like the end of the series will be Arya taking the waif, killing her, and then presenting her face to Jaqen H'ghar. Another theory that is going around, which, okay, everyone, grab your tin foil, because this one really is scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
This isn't initiation for Arya Stark. This is initiation. Oh, sorry. This isn't initiation for no one. This is initiation for Arya Stark. And as speculated for a long time, Jaqen H'ghar is in fact Syria Forel from Series 1. Now, there are images leaked where it has Arya dressed in water dancing clothing for episode 10, possibly episode 8. Now, if she is wearing that kind of water dancing clothing, this makes a lot of sense. Arya Stark needs to rediscover herself, but also train up in the ways of kind of the faceless assassins and the people of Bravos. That's the only way the Bravosi know. If Jaqen H'ghar is Syria Forel and Syria Forel survived that, someone has speculated that, he'll turn around, he'll put on the face of Syria Forel, he'll say, you have completed your training. The waif was, in fact, just kind of a test to see whether Arya Stark will be Arya Stark and would have character instead of being this faceless kind of zombie-type person. That's a real tinfoil theory right there.
I really don't like that.
I want him to be alive, but...
Oh, hell yeah. He was brilliant.
So I'm more than happy with him being dead, because...
That's the kind of cat that sets her on the journey, isn't it? Like, that is a big, shock to her. She goes on and does her own thing.
If they can write that and pull it off right, then I'm more than happy to see it, but I think it's just so... The fact that he never did... that he would have took on everyone coming out of King's Landing and all that. I know it's the kind of mystery of it, and it would be really cool, but I don't think they're that clever to do something that ballsy. I really want it to be true, but I don't.
I like how they keep it open-ended, though. Like, even in the book, that shot where, she hears the clatter of swords behind her and she turns around, that's, straight from the book, and I love that in the book as well, where it's just left open-ended. Like, we know that it's Meryn Trent, I think, he fights in the show, isn't it? We know that he ultimately carried on and survived. But there's also the chance that he, Syria Forel may have died or he escaped or something like that. I don't really want to see that happen, but it would be great to see that character back. All this Bravo stuff just proves to me that Arya's stuff is my favourite stuff this season. I know that, George, you were saying it was a bit slow at the start with they keep getting hit with these sticks, and I can kind of see that, but I've said before that I love all that stuff. I really like this stuff with the play. I think that there's a lot of nice character themes to it, and Tate, as you were saying, all this, if it is initiation, it's doing everything it needs to try and test her and her moral core as a character. And also we get the scene where she digs up the rocks and takes out Needle again, which she buried in Series 4, Series 5, I can't remember when she exactly did that. But ultimately, I think that even that act of burying the sword just shows that she's buried it, yes, but it is always still there. And I think that the act of her digging it back up and taking the sword again is showing that she knows who she is now. She will always be Arya Stark, but I think that Jaqen H'ghar's going to let it slide somehow, especially if she does present him the face. I think she'll still learn all the powers and things like that, but I think she will be the one exception to the rule. And Richard D. Grant, seeing him again, that was kind of surreal but also great. And I like that she did show mercy and she kicked the poison away from the woman. That she's kind of having her own mind and who she wants to kill. And we do see that the is it the waif? Is that the name of the girl? The horrible bitchy girl? She's the waif,
Yeah.
isn't she?
Yeah.
We see that she ultimately sees all this, so she's going to go and tell tale on her. I don't think we get Arya next episode, but I always look forward to seeing more Arya stuff because I think it's really fascinating, this series. So
it's interesting now. That's what I want to say. That twist, not because it would have been so generic and boring if she just poisoned a woman and yes, you are one of us. The fact that she did something different and that stuff is going to come on from it, I'm interested.
and that Joffrey stuff as well, when she was like watching the play out. I think that although she clearly hated Joffrey and everything that he did, I think that when maybe it was the actress's talent playing it, but I think she was genuinely kind of like put herself in her shoes because she knows that her mum saw lots of her children die, and I think she was kind of seeing the sympathy side to it. And when she was always regimented with a list of names like, we need to kill this guy, this guy, this guy. Wait, what? I'm just reading the chat right now. Richard E. Grant is playing Mr. Sinister in Wolverine 3.
Guys, off topic.
Oh,
No.
man.
We stick with Game of Thrones. We stick with Game of Thrones.
Oh man, that's a conversation topic for another time, but that is amazing.
Something I would like to say very quickly. The use of Arya's identity, Mercy.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. It was a cool moment. Still
Very
got
cool moment. And the exact wording used by Lady Crane. Do you like to pretend to be someone else, or?
I love that. I love that moment. So good. But yeah, I've pretty much said everything on Bravo. Shall we move to the final bit then?
Let's move to the final scene, which should not have been the final scene in the episode. In fact, it suggested an even better final scene.
I wouldn't have
suggested was the final scene. No, I would happily have this in this episode. It's fine. The final scene being, it's on Arya. She's in her cave thing. She blows out the candle, the screen goes black, the credits start rolling, and she starts calling out the names. Cersei.
Oh, that would be cool.
Ilian Payne. That would have been really cool.
We need to give the public what they want, right? Because everyone loves Daenerys, the most compelling and likable character.
I'm okay with Daenerys.
How did she get to that dragon? I mean, I watched in the morning, so I know I wasn't half asleep. I swear she was walking with them, then 1 minute later she's on the back of a dragon.
Yeah, she's on a horse with them. She like kind of rides up in front of them.
She goes off for an hour. She goes off for about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer, because he does say, "I'm gonna go look for her now." So one thing that someone said was, Drogon is a very intelligent dragon. They said at some point in the show that dragons are extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
Drogon saved Daenerys and dumped her with the Dothraki on purpose. Drogon wanted for her to prove herself again, as she had got too comfortable doing the politics in Marine and not actually doing anything. Basically like one of her witches. Now, she kind of has a connection with her dragons. She has a connection with Drogon especially. She had a feeling, look, I've got a feeling that Drogon's going to be somewhere around here. She goes off to find him. And in the previous mount, Drogon kind of shrugged her off, wouldn't let her jump on top. That was episode 10 of Series 5. Now, Daenerys has very confidently climbed on top of Drogon and is flying him and is controlling him completely. This is showing that Drogon is now fully under control of Daenerys. Not only that, but is willing to work for Daenerys instead of just kind of pushing her in the right direction. This shows that Daenerys finally has full control of everyone. The Blood Riders scene, I would have liked to have seen her pick 3 Blood Riders. It would have been very interesting to see who she would have picked.
That's where I
picking everyone as her Blood Riders and basically mimicking the speech that was done by Khal Drogo was pretty cool. It was a nice nod back to the previous series. However, that should not have been the final scene in the episode. It was a good scene, mind you, because we finally got to see kind of Drogon with his alpha, and we could see the two little squinty kind of fire holes, which was the first time I'd actually noticed them on the character. But it was something that shouldn't have been maybe the end of the episode. Should have been probably midway through, bang slap in the middle.
Yeah, and but we're missing the most important question here. What happened to Daenerys' horse? Did that get snacked on? Did she?
Oh, that definitely got eaten.
Or did it did the Rapidash evolve into a Charizard or something? Like, what quite happened with that?
Dude, she don't need no horse. She got a dragon.
But no, what you were saying about the three Blood Riders thing, I was expecting the other two dragons, Viserion and Rhaegal, I think it is. I was expecting them to show up as well, land either side, and then she'd pick two people. But I don't really know what's happening with those dragons. I'm kind of like how I was with Summer. I didn't know if Summer was with Bran or if it was off doing its own thing until it appeared in that episode. I don't know if the dragons are technically still in that dungeon thing and they're just choosing to stay in there, or if they did find a way out and flew off and they just didn't have the budget to show it. So I'm a bit confused with that.
Yeah.
The whole mimicking the speech, it would be great if she did mimic it word for word, because Khal Drogo's speech in Series 1 is really contradictory to Daenerys' take on everything. He's like, we will kill all the people in their iron suits, we will do this, we will do that.
Yeah.
We will rape all of their women, is one of the lines he says in that original speech. It would have been kind of amazing if Daenerys had have just repeated it verbatim and then gone oh shit, no, don't do that. But no, I thought it was a decent speech. I just hate the character. I really don't like Emilia Clarke as an actress. If she ever finds this video, I'm sorry, but I just don't think you're that great. And I don't like the character. But I did see there are a lot of articles coming up now, and this sort of came in the last couple of series with Daenerys, with how she's becoming more madder and tyrannical and things like that. Saying, is Daenerys Targaryen the real villain of Game of Thrones? And
I think she will become the Mad Queen. I genuinely do. I think that she is going to become the Mad Queen. She will sit on the Iron Throne. She sees these visions of the future already. Not only that, but she sees kind of King's Landing burnt to a crisp with the snow in the background. I think Snow will kill her, or someone from the North will kill her. Maybe it's Sam. I don't know. Maybe it's the Night King that will kill her. But she will die before the end of Game of Thrones. She is definitely not the hero. And I feel like the fans starting to kind of show hatred for her. I don't understand why. I think she's a probably pretty badass character. I enjoy her storyline. However, I do think that there is an element of insanity in there. I think Tim will realise it because he would have seen it before. I think maybe some of the others will also realise it towards the end. But I do genuinely think that she will become the Mad Queen with her dragons. Especially seeing as this series is going to be the War of the Five Queens. And especially with the next series.
And this is the stage I wanted to see Daenerys get. Oh, sorry, go on.
We have Daenerys, Yara, Sansa, the one from Dawn. What's her name?
Cersei? We count
and
Marjorie?
Yeah, we'll count Marjorie and Cersei. We can count Cersei as well, maybe 6 queens.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean,
and then Queen Tommen. So.
But this is the stage I wanted to see Daenerys get to. I just don't think she's playing it well, and I don't think the script's really there to kind of show this regression into madness that she's having. But that is ultimately the character from the book, and if they do get to that, great. But it's kind of a little too late at this point. One scene, well, a line of dialogue I wanted to bring up. We can do some speculation now, and then we'll round off because we've been going for quite a while. They do not so subtly say, how many ships do you think she needs for all this Dothraki and
1,
the army and the Unsullied and Second Sons? About 1,000. Well, last episode we had a shipfaring people that said, I want to build 1,000 ships or a fleet. Do we think it's likely that this season or next season that the Greyjoys are going to show up to Daenerys?
I'm telling you now, Euron was the one that burnt down the ships in Meereen.
So what's going to happen? It's going to be like Pirates of the Caribbean, and Euron's going to come out of the water with his iron army, and they're all tentacles.
That'd be so fucking bad. No. And he's got Kraken he can swim as well.
Seriously.
Going to go to
Seriously, it makes so much
crabs and have a whirlwind duel and nonsense.
Guys, it makes so much more sense now that Euron was the one that burnt the ships, because Daenerys knows that they need about 1,000 ships. If she's got no ships left in the harbour, she's going to have no other choice to whoever turns up first. I think that Yara will show up first, and Yara will try and influence it. I think Theon maybe will have some sway with Tyrion. I'm not sure how much sway, but he might do. I mean, they met once, so you never know.
Tyrion is the key
But I feel
to...
like in the end they would be more likely to go with Yara and Theon than they would go with Euron. I think Euron will try and attack them in the bay, in which case Daenerys will kill Euron, kill the entire fleet, and then will march into King's Landing and take over the Iron Islands.
Tyrion's going to be the key to her picking any house to be siding with once they cross the Narrow Sea. I think it will come back to bite them that Sansa and Tyrion, obviously they were married, but because he treated her well, I think she will sympathise towards him, and if she's going to get the Stark house back on track, which I think they will do, I think the Starks will rebuild, then it could finish with Starks being Wardens of the North, and the Daenerys, having some kind of control of the bottom. But I think Sansa and Tyrion will meet again, and it'll be very decisive.
I think Sansa and Tyrion are still technically married, and I think they will end up staying married. I think they're going to be two of the two survivors of the entire series. I think they'll probably stay together. I think they'll actually settle down because they treat each other well.
I think Tyrion will die. His will be the sacrifice, and that'll be the
final season moment.
That'll be the most brutal moment in Game of Thrones history. I think it has to happen. A bit like a Snape type character. He deserves it in the nicest possible way. In terms of story progression, but that's my minor prediction.
Season 7 is going to be brutal if it does get to that stage, but we know their sort of like track record for killing characters so far. When they start getting to characters that we really do care about, then that's going to be really rough to see. We've been going for quite a while, so final thoughts for you guys. What do you think of this episode? Good episode?
I would say it wasn't the best of the series. I would say it was middle par of the series. Probably as good as the first episode of this. Not as good as The Door, not as good as Book of the Stranger, but it's a good series so far. It's steady.
Good episode. So, It'll be a very good series. However, I think we've now gone 2 episodes about Ramsay Snow. # bring him back.
I missed him in this episode as well.
The sport people, Ramsay Snow is playing in Soccer Aid. He is going to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. He's going to rip the skin off Jose Mourinho for good. But yeah, watch Soccer Aid because he's playing.
No, I see that.
Wait, who's playing Soccer Aid?
Ramsay Bolton.
Is he? I actually think he'd probably be he would be quite a good footballer, not gonna lie.
All I want to see is just him smile and then just kick someone in the face or something. Come out in a house, Bolton top. Bottom wonders.
My final thoughts on the episode. I know I said it's my favourite one. I'm going to have to go back and watch the rest of Season 6 to see how it stacks up. I think what I gravitated towards most in this were the character moments and how it really took its time with each character. And it's really made me interested in seeing where storylines go. So I'm just kind of echoing everything I say with every other episode that's come out so far. We'll see how next week's is. Before I do peace out, though, I'm going to read another one of LaDonna's messages on our previous Game of Thrones video. I don't mean to keep shooting all your theories down, but it makes more narrative sense for Daenerys and Jon to be twins. This was set up by the Jaime-Cersei dichotomy, and there is no real foreshadowing for Mira and Jon to be twins. Dany and Jon will be twins, like Ice and Fire, which is the name of the book, Song of Ice and Fire. Dany is set up to be the Night's Queen. If I don't think that Dany and Jon are twins, because Dany is the sister of Rhaegar, and Rhaegar is meant
Dany was born before the events. Yeah.
She was born after Rhaegar died, but they are still related in that way. So that would make Jon and Daenerys auntie and nephew. So I don't think it's going to be twins. But yeah, the whole age thing is really confusing me. Anyway, so that'll do it for our discussion on Blood of My Blood, on our Game of Thrones Season 6 discussion. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this episode. How would you rank it along all the other episodes that have come out, and any other speculation you have, please do drop us a comment. We'll try not to shoot every single one down every episode, we promise, because we do like hearing you guys' theories. In terms of what's coming up on the channel, we will be getting back to reviews at some point this week. We'll have Alice Through the Looking Glass. George, I know you're busy. I know you're jetting off very, very soon, so I don't know if you'll get a chance to see Warcraft before. I've seen Warcraft.
You know what? Based on what you've said.
It's
I will, unfortunately, because I've got a busy day tomorrow, then I'm leaving Thursday morning. I will be disappearing for 8 days, so I'm going to miss one Game of Thrones stream with you guys, and then I shall be back. There is Wi-Fi over there. I will be watching it at 3 a.m. Monaco time. That you can guarantee.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you do get a chance to see it, we will jump on for a reaction for that, because I need to vent after seeing that movie. There'll be reactions along the way from me as well. If any other trailers come out, I'm sure there will be the kind of peaks and troughs with trailers. It was quite busy a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, that'll do it for our discussion for today. And until the next one, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.